Hello, this is Jam Master Daniel 96, and today I'm going to be reviewing Millennium Falcon by James Luceno, and definitely my last review with doing Darth Plagueis was a James Luceno book, and this one is a James Luceno book. And so let's begin. Well, Millennium Falcon is kind of, it's mostly set in the post-Return of the Jedi era, in the Legacy era, and it mostly takes place in that gap between Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi. And then you kind of start out with like an introduction of Han and Lando in their younger years. Then you have then you kind of have a bit in like 60 BBY, which is, set before the prequels. So you have like a pre-episode 1 chapter in the book, and then you kind of go to a bit in 19 BBY, which is during the events of episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and then they're on Coruscant. And for a fun fact, that in episode 3 on Coruscant, you get to see a small glimpse of the Millennium Falcon, and you could go look it up. I mean, it's like an Easter egg in episode 3, and because you also have, reference to the bit like, when Anakin and Obi-Wan rescuing the Chancellor in it, and then you go to a chapter that's like 18 BBY, which is a year before the events of, not before, after the events of Revenge of the Sith, and then it goes, more to the Legacy era. And then you have, pretty much it features Han, Leia, and Alana Solo. I mean, there's no Ben Skywalker or Luke Skywalker or Jaina Solo in this book. I mean, briefly mentioned, but not so much. They don't appear. They appear, and then, Lando appears in it pretty much briefly, and one of the characters is named Aurora, and that's I kind of got a good impression from that, because the town I live in Colorado is Aurora, Colorado, which is a suburb of Denver, and so so that was kind of cool to see that name pop up in there. And then there's Aurora Medical Facility, which I thought was pretty cool because of, being where I live in Colorado. The town is Aurora, Colorado, and I thought that was pretty cool. And also, it's, as I said, it's pretty much like a bridge between, it's mostly set between the last book of Legacy of the Force and the first book of Fate of the Jedi, which is Outcast, and I am currently reading that. And then, you just learn stuff about the Millennium Falcon and then previous owners and all that, and you do get references to the prequels in it, which as well in this book, and then you'll have, mentions of Natasi Dala from the Jedi Academy trilogy, and she also had mentions in Legacy of the Force series as well. So you get connections like that there. And the book, I would say it wasn't great. It was alright, I would say. It wasn't, the greatest, but it's pretty much just like a filler bit, like with the bridge between, as I said, it's pretty much like a filler to fill in the gaps between Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi. Kind of like what the Dark Nest trilogy did as that was like, just to fill in, like a filler to fill in the gaps with the New Jedi Order series and Legacy of the Force, and this is what it is for Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi. And then you kind of have a reference of, a mention of Luke Skywalker at the end, where where I think he's in trouble with the chief of state, Tassi Dala, about, Jason turning to the dark side, and I think, those are going to be the events that will occur in Fate of the Jedi. And really, you can read this book if you want to. Probably after you read Legacy of the Force, and then if you're getting ready to read Fate of the Jedi, I'd say you could read it just to get a good setup for when you're reading Fate of the Jedi. And that's all I gotta say. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And comment what you thought of this book down below. And I'll catch you guys next time, and see ya.